Yeah, I'm right back at you like I never left, and I'm gonna go this hard to my last breath. It's little Kenny Russell, Canoon Connoisseur Moon. You already know what you're gonna get when you step in the room. You're now dealing with Canoon. I'm here. And while I'm here, I'm gonna make the information direct and clear, because a lot of y'all can't hear. Now, today, I want to talk about Jonah. Welcome back to Make My Ancestors Great Again. This is another thought. This is another episode of My Thoughts. Sorry about that. Today, I want to discuss Jonah. Previous videos, I spoke about a story about the donkey and Balaam. Okay, and I said it was fake, in my opinion, and it's 100% fake because it wasn't intended on being an actual historical story. It's just a spiritual story to give people spiritual uplift and moral, uplift too, upliftment. And they're spiritual stories that never was intended on being human being. No human beings were supposed to enter the stories, but somebody picked it up and turned them into human being occurrences, and that's just not they're they're humanly impossible. Today, this is another story that I deem 100% false. 100% false. That's the story of Jonah. Okay, Jonah and the whale. Now, there have been stories for years about how people get swallowed up by a whale. And if you find me anything in the Bible that said that this story is pertaining to a whale, please let me know about it. Because it says a great fish. I looked at many different translations and it said great fish. Now, this is no more than when Adam and Eve, they said they bit the apple. The biblical scriptures don't say apple, they say fruit. Okay, this is the same dogmatic translation, if you will. Jonah and the whale. It's no such thing as Jonah and the whale. It's Jonah and the great fish. Okay, it says it in scriptures and things of that nature. But once upon a time, the name whale got attached to the story. Now, you don't have to be a marine biologist to understand that a whale, when you go to Sea World and all these things, and when you see the whale feeders and trainers, they feed them these little fish. Take them out of the bucket and feed them a little fish. Some of them may be about this long, nothing more than that. But it's my understanding that a whale can't really just swallow whole more than a grapefruit, nothing as big as a grapefruit or a cantaloupe. Okay. So to swallow a whole human being in his mouth and live for 3 days at the bottom of the ocean and all this old carrying on, like this story said, that's 100% false. It's 100% fictitious. First of all, it's mythology because mythology has always had a man and a fish story. Okay. A lot of times you'll see Osiris and Horus, um, half of their body is amphibian, or you might see it as like a mermaid, and the other half is human being. Okay, you got another guy. His name is falling short from me, but he has a fish head, and it seemed like it duplicates what the Pope has on his head. I forgot the name of that god, but he's a fish god. Okay, it's no more than that. So it's always been a man and a fish story in mythology, never in human occurrences. So let's get to this story. Um, the story is not a video, but I put it together in like a video form because that's the way to let me show these slides. It's just something quick. It's on Cape Cod. You can read the whole um, article. It's about a gentleman named Michael Packard from Cape Cod, and he was a lobster diver. He was diving for lobsters. Then he said a humpback whale swallowed him whole. And then they attributed and said this was a biblical occurrence like Jonah. Jonah never happened because that's fictitious, and it's a spiritual story used to uplift spirituality and morality. Number one, it never was a man named Jonah. I give anybody $10,000 if you can find a man named Jonah who was once swallowed by a whale. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the story, it never intended on making it into human being understandings to where you thought these people were human beings. You can use a human being image to tell mythology story. Yes, you can use that, but it still doesn't mean that this actually occurred one day in history. That's your discrepancy. You're trying to bring myth and say it was reality. It's not. Just like Jesus. Jesus is another fictitious character. We're gonna get to that. Walking on water, that's another fictitious occurrence. Okay. So let me show you about Michael Packard. And I'm gonna show you what I believe that happened with this story and how they want to attribute it to something that predates this man, which is called mythology, not history, mythology with Jonah. Now, right here, it says the prophet's prayer. So somebody was prophesying that this would happen, but it's in the Bible. Nevertheless, people think it's real. Uh, now, the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow up Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. As you can see there, don't say whale. Doesn't say whale anywhere. That's King James. You can go to New Living Translation, Amplified, CIV, wherever you want to go, NIV, CEV, anywhere. It doesn't say whale. But if you find whale, please let me know about it in the comments because I want to see it. I know it's been entangled with the story, and we know it as Jonah and the whale. But the story in King James was supposed to be the closest translation to the normal, which all of it is nonsense. This is the closest translation to people understand that this is the most accepted. It does not say whale there. Okay. So as you can see, that's the mythology story that's now history. Okay, so right here it says this, and I can't see it that clear on there, so I'm gonna read it on my end. Okay, let me get to it right here. You can put this in on Google or anywhere in the world. This you don't see. Number one, people want to keep mythology and falsifying reality. They want to keep that back. Nobody don't want reality, they want belief. So they throw reality out of the window and continue on with belief. But it says it right here. The idea of whales swallowing humans has long been a part of mythology, so much so that many people believe it to be true. It's scientifically impossible for all but one whale species, the sperm whale, to swallow something as large as a person. So it's physically impossible. This is how the story goes now. In human occurrences, it could never happen. So a humpback whale swallowing Michael Packard, that did not occur. This say the only type of species that can even possibly do it is called a sperm whale. It didn't say nothing about the sperm whale when this gentleman is going to tie himself to the Jonah the whale story to try to give us some reality that the Bible is real. Then I seen some nut, a religious nut. I'm not disrespecting because I don't know his name personally, and I didn't call his name per se a nut. I'm using a blanket statement. A religious nut is a person that's trying to make the Bible real. That's how I identify a religious nut. He took it and put it in a small short, a 10 or 15-second short, and said, "This proves Jonah and the whale is real." And he got a reel going back and forth. When people say I do anything for views, I'm giving you just what it is. If you don't like it, I understand that. But it's a harsh reality that I'm dealing with. He put a short together and said, "This proves Jonah is real." All you have to do is go say, put it in Google, "Can a human being be swallowed by a whale?" It's going to tell you no. Okay. So that was a lie. Let's continue on with these lies and falsifying mythology into being reality. It's a shame. This is the story right here of the man who was diving for lobsters. Okay, now it's good nothing happened to this gentleman, and I hope he continue on because people like lobsters. I'm not one of them, but hey, says right here, Massachusetts commercial lobster diver Michael Packard thought he was going to die after a humpback whale swallowed him into his mouth in 45 feet of water off Cape Cod, but he survived. This is the heading of the article. You can read the whole thing on Cape Cod Times. They put that together. Okay. talking about a humpback whale swallowed him. This gentleman never said that until some time later when he understood that people was trying to um, tie him closely to the Jonah story and make it have some type of reality. Now, this is the article itself, okay? It says right at the top, Cape Cod Times. Now, this is live from the hospital. Listen to what it say, because they wasn't finna let him have no mumbo jumbo at the hospital. It wasn't gonna make the paper, okay? This is how the story goes now. This is right here from the paper. Lobster diver Michael Packard, 56, of Wellfleet, gives the thumbs up Friday morning from Cape Cod Hospital in Hyannis, where he was taken after he was injured um, in an encounter with a humpback whale, okay, in Provincetown. He was later released from the hospital, courtesy of the Packard family. Now, did you hear what that said? Why he's there? It say he was rushed to the hospital in an encounter he had with the humpback whale. That's it. When he got there, that's the story he told. He said, "I'm all right." Had a little encounter with a whale. The words never came out his mouth that he was swallowed whole when he was Jonah. Okay. Somebody put that together later on and they kept on going with the article. And I'm going to show you that he came to that recollection way later. Okay. Now, this is the second part of the article. You can read it in its entirety at the same thing, Cape Cod Times. Okay. The ocean food chain was in full evidence, but about 10 feet from the bottom, Packard suddenly knew what it truly felt like to be a part of the chain, and something truly biblical. Now, this is the recorder. This is the writer writing this now, because he's trying to juice it up, and he's going to let you know that this stems along the line of a biblical story, never happened in history, called Jonah. Okay, I just read you that Jonah 1 17. Okay, and something truly biblical. This is the writer. Packard was swallowed whole by a humpback whale. Now remember, if you type in on Google, can whales swallow human beings? It's going to say no. No, it can't happen. The only possibility of it happening is with a special species of whales called the sperm cell. This say a humpback. Go do your research. You don't have to believe me. I'm just bringing you the news, okay? He was swallowed whole by a humpback whale. This is the reporter putting this. All of a sudden, I felt this huge shove, and the next thing I knew, it was completely black. Packard recalled Friday afternoon following his release from the Cod Hospital. Okay. So when he got home Friday night and people had told him, man, you had like a Jonah, you was like Jonah, you the new Jonah the whale type of man, a biblical thing. He took to the story and said all of a sudden he felt a shove and then he seen pitch black. Okay. Now remember, in the hospital, he said he had an encounter with a whale, but he was all right. Never said nothing about being swallowed whole. That was 8 a.m. or in the morning. Friday afternoon, okay, when his family picked him up, they put it in his head. The reporter, everybody said, man, you like Jonah. They swallowed you whole. So he went with that. Okay. That's what I wanted to show you guys. People try their best to make religious mythology and religious fictitious stories real. But again, they can never be real because they were never intended on being real. There's never been a Jonah. There's never been some special great fish or whale that was supposed to swallow him whole and sat down at the bottom for 3 days, came up, spit him out, and he walked on home later. Okay. What's my point for the video? It remains the same when I said the Bible is a flat out lie in my terms. You don't have to believe it, but it's stemmed on mythology, allegory, and fiction. And the rest is flat out goddamn lies. That's my thought on this story. I just wanted to bring you something. Um, this is my thoughts, 97. That's Michael Packard trying to relay his story to this Jonah the whale. And It's just not gonna work. It's a little Kenny Russell, Canoeum, Consul Moon. You already know what you're gonna get when you step in the room. You're now dealing with Canoeum. This is what I do, and I love to do it. Before I take back what I said, I asked them to it. This was not to do anything other than to show you that once upon a time, spiritual stories used to for the upliftment of people and a morale booster of some sort have been taken, kidnapped, smuggled, whitened up, put into human form, dressed up, sold to you as something new. Everything happened once upon a time at a specific date, which the Bible has no dates, and they told you that it was history. Do not fall for their trick. Always invoke your spirituality. Always invoke questions. Hey, how did that happen? When? What time? What date? Where is this? And you can remain and whole with your spiritual birthright, which is your spirituality. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I thank you for watching.